Hello and welcome to episode 174 of the How to Survive podcast. Hope you had a great new year. It's 2019 and we're kicking it off with a 2004 classic directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man 2. And with great film comes great co-host. Joe Shovel joins me.
Hello, Chris.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Did you have a lovely new year?
Yes, I did. What did you do for New Year?
I just hung out with a couple of idiots.
That's right.
Yeah,
We went on holiday.
we did.
Spent
Yes.
all the How to Survive money for the year.
Yeah. I wish.
Yeah. Well, you wished you could spend it all.
I wish that we had enough to fund a holiday.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it was good anyway, I'm sure.
Yes.
We're recording this in advance.
We
We may
are.
have fallen out and there may never be
Another
episode.
podcast. This might be the last podcast ever. But what a film to go out on, eh?
Yeah. It's your old pal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Peter!
Yes, exactly. You'll never tire of doing that.
It's so funny.
Yes, as much as though everyone else will tire of it.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Spider-Man 2, you've had a bumper 15 years in which you could have seen it. So now is your chance to duck out before we spoil the whole movie
It's well good.
and we get our webs all over it.
How did you watch it?
I watched it on Now TV.
Nice. I watched it on Amazon.
Right. Were there any differences? Let's find out. Spider-Man 2 after this.
This is funny. I'm not sure where to begin. Do you love me or not?
I don't.
You don't. Kiss me.
Kiss you.
I need to know something. Just one kiss.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
Peter Parker is in a rut. Living his double life is taking its toll and his work-life balance is shot, and he's estranged from Mary Jane for fear of supervillains finding out about her. Harry Osborn, who still harbours a hatred of Spider-Man, is now Oscorp's head of scientific research and sponsors a project by Dr. Otto Octavius, who briefly mentors Peter. Wearing a harness of powerful robot tentacle arms, what could go wrong? He attempts to create a fusion reactor as a group of journalists and Peter watch on. The reactor destabilizes and goes critical, killing his wife and burning the inhibitor chip that prevents the arm's artificial intelligence overruling his nervous system. Peter, as Spider-Man, shuts the experiment down, destroying it.
Yeah, so basically, now old Dr. Octavius has lost the ability to think, and now these claws are doing the thinking for him.
Yes. In hospital, surgeons attempt to disconnect the arms, which are now fused to Otto's spine, but the arms take on a life of their own and murder the entire surgical staff. Otto awakens and flees to a harbour. Becoming increasingly influenced by the arm's artificial intelligence, he robs a bank to fund a bigger reactor and flees with the money despite Spider-Man's intervention. J. Jonah Jameson dubs Octavius Dr. Octopus.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Meanwhile, Mary Jane becomes engaged to Jameson's son, leading to Peter suffering an emotional breakdown, resulting in him losing his powers. He abandons the Spider-Man persona and attempts to live a normal life, reconciling with Mary Jane and confessing his role in Uncle Ben's death to Aunt May. Octavius strikes a deal with Osborn to get tritium, the fuel for the reactor, in exchange for delivering Spider-Man.
She used to host What Not to Wear, right? Tritium Susanna.
Great stuff.
That was alright.
2019, and still your jokes belong in the past.
Do you know what? I've been playing chess lately. A lot of people tell me chess is for squares, but actually, Chess is 64 squares.
You told me that joke last year,
Yeah.
and the thing that I love about it is that you put so much emphasis on 4 squares because you want to make it clear.
Yeah.
It's like, chess is 4 squares.
Chess is 4 squares. Count them. 4 squares.
Octavius strikes a deal with Osborn to get tritium, the fuel for the reactor, in exchange for delivering Spider-Man. To achieve this, he kidnaps Mary Jane, whose endangerment leads to the resurgence of Peter's erections. Powers. As Spider-Man, he battles Octavius and narrowly prevents a disastrous subway crash. With Spider-Man exhausted, Octavius captures him and delivers him to Harry in return for the tritium. Harry unmasks Spider-Man and is stunned to learn that he was Peter all along. Peter convinces Harry to direct him to Octavius's lair and heads there to rescue Mary Jane. He finds Octavius beginning another experiment and they battle as the nuclear fusion reaction grows more unstable. Peter ultimately subdues Octavius, who in a moment of clarity is finally able to regain command of the tentacles and drowns the reactor in the Hudson River at the cost of his life. Mary Jane learns Peter's dual identity and finally realises why he pushed her away. Harry is visited by a vision of his father in a mirror. Drunk, he smashes the mirror, revealing his father's secret lair and the Green Goblin equipment.
Legitimately, that's one of the best parts of the film.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love it. I just love
Just because Willem Dafoe's in
yeah.
it. Yeah.
It's in a great film.
Avenge me! Avenge me!
Yeah. Yeah.
On her wedding day, Mary Jane abandons John Jameson at the altar and runs to Peter's apartment. As they kiss, the pair hear police sirens and Mary Jane tells Peter to go get 'em, Tiger, watching in glee as Spider-Man swings away.
Wouldn't it be better if she said, go get him, Spider?
Yeah, he's not called Tiger Man, Mary
Exactly.
Jane.
I was really confused.
Yeah.
Wait, have I watched the wrong film?
Yeah. Oh no. What did you think of Spider-Man 2, Joe?
It's really good, mate. It is, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I think where Spider-Man 1 was like the perfect study of teen angst, Spider-Man 2 is the perfect study of like young adulthood.
Right.
The stresses of growing apart from your friends or like struggling to find your way in life. Like your job's too demanding. You're unable to shoot webs out of your wrists anymore. That kind of thing.
Yeah, which is obviously a laboured metaphor for erectile dysfunction.
It must be, right? I remember like a lot of my school reports at the time when I saw this, because we were kids when we saw this. Right?
Yeah.
They said like Joe's clever but doesn't try. Right. So all the like brilliant but lazy.
Right.
Resonated
with
I was
you.
like, I'm Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I also can't.
Spider-Man doesn't need to try, so why should I?
Yeah. Yeah. It is really, really good. I haven't seen it in some time, but I remember, and I'll always remember watching it for the first time because I saw it on holiday in America when it came out over there. And I don't know if you've ever seen a film in America, but let me tell you, their cinema customs are not the same as UK. So
Why?
There was a man who walked down the aisle at the start of the film to announce that it was Spider-Man 2, and everyone cheered.
Really?
Yeah! People's kids were just running around throughout.
Yeah.
People were cheering, clapping throughout the film, telling, Spidey to like,
Look
go
out.
get him or look out or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of audience interaction, which I think is a very American thing.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy it more watching it
Alone at home.
Yeah, exactly. It just has so much energy and sort of zip to it. And so much of that clearly comes from Sam Raimi's direction. And you can see many of the stylistic traits that made The Evil Dead so beloved all the way through this film as well.
The scene where Dr. Octopus transforms into Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to like surgically remove the claws from him. And it just suddenly turns into like a pitch perfect horror movie scene.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like it could be from Alien or something.
Yeah, it really lets Sam Raimi stretch his legs on some of those horror inflected scenes. And there are a few other minor little moments, like when Harry is at home and he hears like the thumping of Dr. Octopus's claws coming up the wall, and also when he goes mad at the end and starts seeing his father.
That's really
because the camera, it starts off on a level plane, and then you hear Norman Osborn's voice, and the camera tilts, so it's almost like a they call it a canted angle. So there's lots of nice little stylistic traits like that. But it's lots of crash zooms and whip pans and quick cuts, and it really communicates the action brilliantly all the way through.
What would you call it when there's shots where it's like it'll be someone talking in close up, and then the camera will just dodge slightly left, and you'll see like in the background something happening?
Yeah, but that's just like a sort of
that's just moving the camera, Joe, you idiot.
No, but that's true. There's a lovely moment of that in the bank robbery sequence when the horrible bank teller or whatever, accounts guy picks up a gold coin, and then the camera like really quickly shifts to the right, and as Aunt May like knocks it out of his hand.
That's great.
Shame on you. It's fantastic.
Right. I think the scene where Uncle Ben's in it is maybe the best scene in the film, because it visualizes how Peter is coming to terms with the struggle between what his parents or faux parents want him to do and what he wants to do himself, which is like the choice between what is right and what is easy, the choice between carving your own path in life and like doing what your parents want you to do, kind of thing. And Dream Uncle Ben is the only person who knows Peter's secret, right?
Yeah.
And is advising him on what to do and what makes it so hard for him to confront it, right? And there's more emotion in that scene, I think, than in most superhero movies that come out these days. But what I really like about it, right, is that after it, you see Aunt May talking to Peter, and she says something like, "There's a hero in all of us."
Yeah.
Right? And obviously this is a hallucination. He's not dreaming, he's awake when he kind of imagines this conversation. But then later on, you see Harry talking to his dead father in the mirror, and that's obviously the hallucination as well.
Yeah.
So there's a hero in all of us, except in Harry, where there's a villain in him. I think that's like a really, really strong like thematic parallelism. I really like that. It's good. It just tells you like what's going on in their mental states, like by bringing in these other characters who you love.
And one thing that really struck me this time round was the confidence in the characters that the film has, because it's nearly an hour, I think, before Dr. Octopus even appears.
Yeah, but
about 40 minutes.
I said I wrote down 90 minutes, and we've only seen Dr. Octopus 4 times.
But is that before his transformation anyway? Or
That's
did you say
90
minutes?
90 minutes.
90 minutes, yeah. He's barely been in it.
Yeah, he's basically introduced, he transforms, robs the bank, and then you don't see him until basically the end.
And the vast majority of scenes before he's transformed are dedicated to character building rather than action.
Yeah.
And these are characters that we already know from the previous installment.
It's more a movie about Peter Parker's relationships. And stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is much more... It's like... I'm a fan of the Gilmore Girls series.
Yeah.
And I often say that what I really like about Gilmore Girls is there's no big drama. There's no, action.
Yeah.
It's the minute interactions between characters that makes it. And that's what's happened in Spider-Man in these movies. It's like there's more weight in like the shot where Mary Jane sees that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Like you get goosebumps and you're like welling up a bit because it's like it's built up so much. And you know how much that means to both characters to finally be able to like let that pass.
Yeah. And also the thing that you always say about Gilmore Girls is that it would be better if Luke had 4 metal tentacles grafted onto his spine.
I'm always saying that. Yeah. I've written to Amy Sheridan Palladino. And I said, can we, if you do another like remake, can we have
Dr. Luctopus?
Yeah, please.
It's also incredibly funny, the film.
What, Gilmore Girls?
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, it is funny.
Especially J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, we said this last time.
Played by J.K. Simmons.
They haven't recast him in any of the Spider-Man.
No, and it's because it's impossible to.
Yeah.
The only thing that they can do is just cast J.K. Simmons in it.
Yeah.
Because
so
he is
funny.
scene-stealingly funny all the way through. And the other thing that I really loved is all of the little touches to show how clear... all of the little touches to make it clear how shit Peter Parker's life is.
Yeah, right.
So it's like he keeps losing jobs. He's constantly late. He can't pay his rent. His teachers are disappointed in him.
Yeah.
His friends are disappointed in him. And he doesn't even, like, this is a tiny thing, but I loved it. Doesn't even manage to get the last canapé at the party.
Yeah.
Like
everything's going. All the lights are turning red for him. Really.
Yeah, it wholly commits to that really tragic humour all the way through.
I think the absolute downward point on it all is like him being forced to take a photo of his like love of his life being engaged to someone else while his boss like heckles him.
Yeah,
that's like really good.
Yeah, the other J. Jonah Jameson thing that I loved because it's him saying, "Parker, wake up,
Take a photo.
is the bit where at the end Mary Jane leaves she runs off and J. Jonah Jameson gets wind of what's going on and he just leads over to his wife and says like, "Tell Susan not to open the caviar."
Yeah.
It's like,
so good.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, I've gone too far. That guy really was a hero.
Yeah.
And then like Spider-Man steals his suit back because
he's a thief.
Yeah.
A criminal.
Well, that leads into the next headline, which is he's back.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man like swings through it and punches through the front of the newspaper. It's like everything is so energetic.
Yeah.
And I know like there's nothing is wasted. It's amazing.
A big part of the reason that I think this film is considered a classic of the superhero canon is because it's got such a good villain. Dr. Octopus, I think, is pretty much unmatched in terms of superhero villains before and since, and I would put him on the same level as the Joker in The Dark Knight and in Batman. Yeah, I would.
It's a big because the way I see it is that he's like a very strong spiritual successor to the Green Goblin because you've got like they're both Icarus figures, right? Mm-hmm. In as much as they've
just scientists who did too much, experimented on themselves essentially.
Yeah, exactly, right. And they've been driven mad by their own mindless experimentation. He's got nothing to lose anymore, like Green Goblin, and he's played by someone who's a complete joy to watch as well.
Yeah, Melina is fantastic.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately with the Green Goblin, I said this when we did Spider-Man 1, it's a man fighting a man, but they've both been optimized.
Yeah.
Right? And this is kind of the same, right? They're perfect villains for Spider-Man because they're just men with enhancements. Mm-hmm. And where Green Goblin was like a father figure to Peter, it's less clear, but I think this is the intention. Dr. Octopus is like the hero figure to him, and it's the ultimate like never meet your heroes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think we see just enough of Otto before his accident to know that he's a good guy deep down as well, and his flaws and struggles are believable and feel well reasoned because he's devastated following the loss of his wife. And it's the result of his own failed experiment. Yeah. And so
he wants to put it right.
Yeah, he's desperate to correct his failure and he has nothing else left. He's devoted his life to this thing that's ended up killing his wife and he didn't even get to achieve the thing that he wanted.
Yeah.
So he's just like doing it out of blind desperation. Yeah,
and he has a redeeming character arc as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's really meaningful, I think, at the end, especially when he's lying there and he realizes that Spider-Man's Peter Parker, and he goes, "Brilliant but lazy," with a little eyebrow up, and that's lovely. That's a lovely little moment. The as we said, I think the design of Dr. Octopus lets Sam Raimi have a bit of like horror fun.
Which claws are crazy. They're like properly scary.
Yeah,
they're relentless.
The bit where it clamps onto one of the surgeon's faces is horrific. One thing I did think would have been cool from a sort of horror perspective, but almost certainly a bit too sinister for a film that's rated 12, is that if during the battle Octavius died, but the arms kept going, so it was just carrying his limp body around.
That would have been cool.
It would have been like very sinister, but would have been quite a dramatic and cool horror image.
I think for a different film that would be really good.
Yeah.
Would you what's in it for the claws? Because they've got an AI.
They do have an AI. Yeah. Well, I presume their AI is built around
achieving the fusion engine.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about building the fusion reactor, and so they're doing everything in an amoral sense. Their goal is just to achieve that.
Right. I see what you mean. Like the paperclips thing, right? If you design the perfect AI to make paperclips, it will destroy the universe's resources just to make paperclips.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But it will wipe out humanity because they're not useful in its quest to make paperclips.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the reason he's also good is because we've said before, like when we've done comic book films, that the villain often in the MCU formula just turns out to be like a gigantic CGI behemoth
Yeah.
that other CGI things need to fight. And it turns into like,
Rubber men fighting.
Yeah, exactly. And it's mind numbing more than anything. And that became the formula because it's relatively easy to make compared with writing compassionate stories about meaningful layered villains. Like that's hard, and it works really well because Dr. Octopus is so sympathetic.
Yeah.
Compare that with like, I don't know, the villain in Wonder Woman, which was just like, what can you remember about that?
Yeah, it was the Ares or whatever, and he
wants world domination.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah.
And
exactly. It's boring.
And it ends up being 100 feet tall, and Wonder Woman beats him anyway.
Sure.
Spoilers for Wonder Woman.
I don't think he gets 100 feet tall, but he's got like lightning powers or whatever, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Generally, like, that's the thing. Is like I haven't seen Age of Ultron, but I'm guessing Ultron's a giant robot.
He's a normal sized robot.
Well, like a
human sized robot.
Is he?
Yeah. I don't think it's big. It tends to be human sized baddies that they end up fighting, and so the hero fights the villain in a big dramatic fisticuff sequence.
Yeah,
but I don't know that they tend to be like giant.
Maybe I'm just thinking
monsters.
like Transformers.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not
Like,
up on the Transformers canon.
But when like you punch someone and like a building gets destroyed, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that tends to be, Dr. Octopus hits Spider-Man so hard that he goes through the building.
But in other superhero movies, it'll be like the whole building gets leveled.
Right. Oh, well, you're thinking more like Man of Steel then.
Yeah, right.
But in Man of Steel, again, they're all human sized. They're just it's supposed to be they're so powerful that
they can punch through walls.
Yeah, or like buildings just collapse.
I think I am thinking of Transformers probably.
Maybe.
But you know what I mean? It's the sense of like you've just basically got a demigod that you're fighting rather than a man with bionic arms.
Right, exactly, yeah. And I think it is he's definitely one of the better superhero villains for sure. This is obviously before the Marvel Cinematic Universe came into being. Although I noticed that it's Kevin Feige, whatever his name is, who was one of the executive producers of this film. So he's been there since he was probably in Spider-Man credits as well. So imagine how much the landscape of cinema has changed as a result of him.
Remind us who he is.
So he's now basically the king of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so he, I believe, is, responsible for the sort of roadmap that they lay out of where the Marvel universe is going to go. And he's credited as an exec producer on this film as well, which I didn't realise. So I thought maybe he'd come in and said, "This is what you need to do with it." But he's been there since this.
Wow.
And obviously this is Sony produced. But it's obvious that superhero films have changed immensely since the MCU started.
Yeah.
And one thing that is apparent is that they don't have to be, when you're watching an older superhero movie, I mean, they don't have to be a slave to the wider context as the Marvel Cinematic Universe films are.
Right. So if you had like Tony Stark walking into the middle of the Dr. Octopus fight.
The most recent Spider-Man film, for example, features Iron Man repeatedly. They're not as thick with fan service, right? Because in the other ones, it's constant, isn't it? And
there's one moment where there's a woman playing the Spider-Man theme tune on a violin badly, and Peter Parker cringes. Yeah. And you're like,
that's fine.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff is fine. Like they are much more subtle now, and they're not to be seen as setups or teasers for future movies or future characters.
Right.
For example, there's a bit where they're trying to come up with a name for Dr. Octopus, and someone says, "What about Doctor Strange?" And J. Jonah Jameson says, "Oh, it's good, but it's already taken." Which just subtly implies that
there is other stuff happening.
But you don't. That's it's just a nod for the people who will get it.
Yeah.
Whereas in this era, it would be more like, "Oh, Spider-Man Doctor Strange solo movie confirmed following and Doctor Strange would appear in the post-credit sequence.
Right, he'd be like, it's already been done, and then it would pan to the newspaper headline which had Benedict Cumberbatch on it.
Right, yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, there's almost like a pre-MCU and a post-MCU cinematic history, because you can see the MCU influence on the DC universe.
Right,
you can see it in the Star Wars universes.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it in the failed Universal Monsters universe. That they were going to construct around the Mummy, which
have they canned it?
I'm pretty sure they have.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy, right? Because they had I think it was called like the Dark World universe or Dark Universe, and they had a photo of Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, Russell Crowe, Sophia Boutella, all the people, and they announced all these films. They announced like
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, and The Invisible Man, and The Mummy 2, and all this sort of thing. And then The Mummy just fucking bombed.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Is it good?
No, apparently it's terrible.
Yeah,
and no one went to see it.
But why is it
they
bad?
just can't?
Because I mean, I quite like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, no, I've been rewatching the Mission Impossible films recently.
I watched Cocktail last night.
Yeah,
it's good.
Apparently, as well with The Mummy, I think there's a rumor that he essentially directed it himself.
Really?
Yeah, but that's another thing. But essentially, every single major movie now has to end with a sort of post-credits tease or a nod to a wider universe that they're trying to cultivate. And the MCU has made every company think about how they can manipulate their assets into a cash cow. None more so than the Universal universe, I think, because just who was thinking?
I wish I'd see a new Mummy film.
Yeah, or who was thinking that there needs to be a Dracula, versus Frankenstein or whatever, whatever shit they had planned.
Dracula versus Frankenstein. That would be alright.
But it's just nonsense.
I'd shut up.
It's nonsense.
And I think, just to riff on that a bit, like it is more emotional in this film just to have the characters interacting with each other. Like, as we said, it's a character study. It's not let's do a big action scene. Like Infinity War, right? You've watched that now.
Yeah.
I watched it a few months ago. It's really good, but it's not emotional. Like, there's no emotional weight to it at the end of it. Maybe there is if you've seen all the films, but I haven't. But
yeah, it's I think of it as a sort of interesting dramatic moment that is emotionally hollow because you know that they've already announced Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I mean, so Spider-Man 2 is a story about Peter Parker navigating the complexities of his young adult life.
Yeah.
There's more emotion in the conversation with Peter Parker and Aunt May, where there's like vague allusions to the fact that she's worked out he's Spider-Man, and she's like looking him in the eye and saying like, Henry needs Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
And there's a pregnancy in the silence between them.
Yeah.
Which you cannot get in Thor or anything like that, because I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is good. There's strong emotion in that because there's things about like fatherhood and
but that's sort of the sort of emotion that is so generic that everyone could be sad about their mum dying. Like,
it's sentimentality.
Yeah.
Like, there's a good. Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
No.
There's a really good scene at the end, but I won't say what it is, but it's like you say, it's a sentimental moment, which is mostly made by the soundtrack, I think.
Right.
Whereas this is genuinely like good acting, good writing. You buy into the characters, you want them to succeed, things like that, right? Whereas who gives a fuck about whether Thor is going to get the hammer before Loki does? Do you know?
They are extremely good spectacle blockbusters, but they don't have any. I mean, I find it hard to put myself in the mindset of someone who would find an emotional connection to like modern Marvel movies, because they are just so bombastic that it's a bit of a struggle to imagine who would get an emotional connection from them.
People do though.
I know.
I have a friend who's
strange.
watched Infinity War 5 times.
That's like, but then you can enjoy it. That's fine. But I can't believe. I just can't imagine someone, crying with emotion about it. Like crying. Like I get, at the end of Infinity War, I'm sure everyone who's listening to this knows because it's just been injected into the popular culture mainstream. The end of Infinity War, when that version of Spider-Man is saying, I don't want to go, and then turns into dust. That is sad because he is a teenage boy and he is disintegrating.
Yeah, and he's put his trust in Tony Stark, who's let him down. Yeah, so you see it from both angles.
Yeah, exactly, right. But it's not. It's just I can't believe that anyone other than a child would watch that and think anything other than like,
but he'll be back next week.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be back in the next film.
Yeah.
So it rings hollow. It's more emotional when, for example, Gamora gets killed, but then even that for me has a distancing effect because I'm just like, well, it's just a green woman. It's a green woman is no longer being animated.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanos is good though.
Thanos is good. Thanos is a good villain.
Yeah.
And they give him an appropriate amount of time to
develop
and explain his motives.
Do you think he's as good as? I mean, you said Dr. Octopus is the best. I think Green Goblin's the best, personally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Where do you put Thanos?
He's not up there with those guys. I don't think it's
No.
not like Joker, Dark Knight territory.
So you've got Dr. Octopus, presumably Green Goblin. You quite like.
I quite like him. I think he's a bit too. There's something about him that I find a bit off-putting, and I think maybe it's I don't really like the design of the suit,
right?
Because it makes him look a bit comical because of his like open like rictus grin,
right? Yeah.
And then like you've got that grin, and he's going like Spider-Man,
right?
Like it's just a bit absurd,
puppety, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean he's good.
Bane?
Nah.
You don't like Bane?
I don't think. I think I've only seen Dark Knight Rises once in the cinema.
I think maybe I've watched the Bane like scenes a lot because they're just funny.
Yeah,
I think he's fine. He's like an agent of chaos, right? He's what you get in when you don't have the Joker.
Yeah,
he's just someone who wants to watch the world burn. But then I guess he's like involved with the Ra's al Ghul and stuff like that. And it's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah. What about Scarecrow?
He's quite good.
Yeah,
but then it's just because Cillian Murphy's good.
Yeah.
Like the Scarecrow is just the Joker, isn't he? I mean, Batman villains quite often are, unless they're doing their like arch villain tactics. Like the Riddler is posing a riddle, the Penguin is doing whatever the fucking Penguin does, gassing people through an umbrella. Other than that, they're just people who want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. Who would you like to see direct a superhero movie if you could choose anyone?
Anyone? Well, like Martin Scorsese.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Why would you like to see him direct it?
Because he imagine like Martin Scorsese did an origin movie for the X-Men, and it's got the violence.
But what about his style and what? So I
want a gritty,
R-rated.
Like Logan was really good for that reason. Like it didn't pull its punches.
Yeah,
it wasn't like over the top, but it wasn't like
it's just
cut someone's head off and there's no blood sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's really realistic, gritty realism is what's good, and Scorsese does that very well. There's tension in his movies. There's like character. His characters have character.
Yeah,
I think that's. I mean, what I want to see is Goodfellas, but like X-Men. Like someone joins the X-Men.
Specifically X-Men.
Yeah, it'd be good. Like
someone joins the X-Men and they're like, when I joined the X-Men,
ever since I can remember, I wanted to be an X-Man.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah, it'd be good. And then you got like Wolverine's just drunk all the time, like. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get an argument in a bar and you've got superpowers and you just like zap someone with a laser. Of course you would. That would happen all the time.
You fucking varmint.
Yeah, exactly. Just recreate Goodfellas, but instead of
with the
gangsters, X-Men.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. I'd kind of see Jordan Peele take a stab.
That'd be good.
I think he's got the right sort of comedy and genre blend. That would serve him well. See him do something with the Black Panther sequel, maybe. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because typecasting him.
Well, no, it's just that his film work. From what I understand of his upcoming film as well, they both are to do with the African American experience
Yeah. Well,
And-
Get Out was obviously that. I mean,
Exactly,
and it's
yeah.
a masterpiece.
So it
for that
almost,
reason.
and it would almost be a shame not to
Yeah.
have him do something that he cares about. If you know what I mean? Because otherwise, you might as well hire anyone.
What was it? I mean, like we watched Widows the other day. Steve McQueen's obviously doing a similar thing in a different way,
Yeah,
and telling an interesting story about the black experience.
yeah, totally. And the other one that came to mind was Shane Carruth from Primer
Right.
doing a Doctor Strange movie.
That would be sick.
It would be amazing.
Just like, but the thing is, do you think they'll ever go completely art house with it? Because there's talk about like Ben Wheatley doing one, which would be really good. I mean,
Ben
he'd be
Wheatley would
fun.
be great.
Yeah, like a close up, just the genuine impact of getting punched by like a superhero. You know what I mean?
Like there's all the superhero build up,
Yeah.
and then like Spider-Man just gets a hammer
Yeah.
and smashes someone's face.
Yeah, right. Do you know what? Do you know in like Kick-Ass when Kick-Ass when he's wearing his suit and he just gets stabbed in the guts?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like, that's so funny.
That's how
Because
it should happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it's whether that. I mean, I'm sort of thinking films that would fit within the canon of the
MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like because basically Sam Raimi injects his signature style
Yeah,
into
yeah,
this
yeah.
massive property.
But,
So it'd
but
be-
Ben Wheatley would do that. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
could work in it because he's good at doing violence
Yeah.
that's very sudden and shocking, and that could work in a superhero movie if
Sure.
you were to allow it to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd do it though. I think they're a little bit too studio for it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, in an ideal world, you'd have Lynn Ramsey doing like Fantastic Four or something,
Imagine that.
just all told through like horrible flashbacks.
Joaquin Phoenix is
Yeah,
the Human Torch.
that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's you know, like
I
they're
tell you what, if you're going to recast Wolverine, Joaquin Phoenix as Wolverine,
yeah, it's
as like as he is in You're Never Really Here,
He's looking like slightly haggard,
slightly haggard.
puffy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
asphyxiating himself in the wardrobe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
that'd be good.
That'd be good. Well, with all that said, Chris, there's only one question really. Did Bernoulli sleep before he found the curves of quickest descent?
I don't know.
That's what he says when he's like,
Yeah, but does he answer
Edison
it?
sleep before he invented the light bulb?
Yeah, yeah. Did he?
"What, Bernoulli?"
Yeah.
Well, that's what Peter Parker says because he wants to suit like a smart aleck,
Right.
and that's when
And Dr. Octopus is like, as
This
soon-
kid, he's a genius, I'm telling you,
he's a genius.
yeah,
'Cause-
Dr. Octavius is like, I can't wait to get my metal arms on so I can crush your head.
Yeah. So how would you survive?
Well, I think Dr. Octavius needs to, and also Harry Osborn, they need to have a think about the design of their experiment.
Right.
Because if you've got the apparently endless budget of Oscorp,
Which you blow anyway. Like it's not
Yeah.
endless.
why wouldn't you build a safe, specially designed environment in which to conduct these experiments rather than doing it in a loft?
Yeah. Like so, you know, an MRI machine.
Yeah.
The magnetic resonant imaging. They have powerful magnets in them, and you can't take any metal objects in the room.
Yes.
Because it will just rip your fingers off.
But it's not magnetism, is it?
But if this Octavius is clever enough, he'd work out that this is going to drag in metal.
But it's not. It's dragging in everything, isn't it? Because it drags in the glass from the windows.
No, that's because they're in a metal frame.
Yeah, but it would just break. It drags all of the glass towards. It's because it's creating a sun, right? Which is a source of gravity. Source of gravity it exerts a gravitational pull, which means everything collapses into it, doesn't it? Whenever anything goes wrong, and it's not just metal.
I think it is just metal because like cars get pulled towards it. They're metal. Name me something that gets pulled towards it that isn't metal.
Glass.
I think the glass doesn't get. I think the windows.
The glass shatters.
The window frames are flying towards her, and they break and keep falling towards her.
I'm not sure.
I think, mate, think about it. The cars. You got like the tumbling like blocks and stuff. The frames, the girders.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me in my head. Anyway, do it in a specially designed environment because
Also, Mary Jane has like the chains wrapped around her ankles.
yeah, that is true.
Then he pulls her away.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of my idea of doing it in a specially designed environment?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. I mean,
plastic walls.
further to that, it is outrageously dangerous to have a group of unprotected civilians in the same room as a miniature sun
Yeah.
on the first time you're attempting to turn it on.
Not even wearing goggles.
It's like having a bunch of journalists half a mile away from the atomic bomb tests and not giving them goggles or any sort of shielding. It's crazy.
Yeah. Has he not run a few like contingency checks thinking, oh, what could go wrong?
It's irresponsible in the extreme, isn't it? It's a breach of ethics.
Well, how would you make it safer?
Doing it in a controlled environment. So I'm thinking a spherical concrete room.
Yeah.
No loose objects that could be dragged into it. If it is metal, then just don't have any metal in the room.
Yeah.
It's like a poured concrete void.
You'd want it underwater, really, under the sea, because then if it goes wrong, you just douse it.
Well, yeah, just have a tank of water above the thing. And then you could have an observation booth, but it would be behind, thick, 3-foot glass or whatever that's not going to go anywhere, and it's going to protect them from any radiation.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's crazy. Imagine doing that in just like a New York loft. It's like a tenement building as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insanity. Is it their apartment?
Yeah, I think so.
Because they have dinner there, don't they?
Yeah, maybe he lives in his lab.
It's madness, absolute madness.
Radioactive material.
I think that mad scientist, Dr. Octopus, is not thinking things through.
Fair enough.
How about you?
My advice is for Spider-Man, and that's just to be fine. Just be fine now, because all it takes at the end, right? He's like loses his powers and stuff.
Yeah.
All it takes is Aunt May to be like, you should be Spider-Man, and he's like, yeah, I should be Spider-Man, and he's fine again.
No, it's because Mary Jane gets kidnapped, isn't it?
Right. Oh, right, because he's unsure, and then when the car comes towards them, his Spidey sense kicks in.
Yeah, exactly. It's instinct, isn't it? Protecting the woman he loves.
Right.
Yeah.
Forget that then. That's shit. That's a shit idea. Should have been paying attention. Okay, the second idea.
Okay.
Is for Mary Jane. Just like date Harry, obviously.
Or John. Marry John.
Marry John. Yeah. Like they're both better looking than Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
They're both significantly wealthier than Tobey Maguire. And they're not complete flakes and shitheads and students who live in like bedsits.
Yeah.
It's
very true, yeah.
Like there's nothing particularly attractive
for
about
her.
If until she knows he's Spider-Man, he's just a gump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A gump.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
A guy who's always rude to you, like doesn't show up to things, doesn't show any interest in your life, is aloof, weird. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's like but she's in love with him, obviously, and has been her whole life. It's implied, I think. And so it's like, would you? So she's in love with him, but he treats her badly. So she ends up seeing other people,
right?
Which is fair enough. That's basically your advice. But then the problem is that when she finds out that he's Spider-Man, it explains his previous behavior. So it's like if someone had a brain tumor and someone was already always really horrible to you, and then you found out that they had a brain tumor which has been altering their behavior, and they had it removed, and they're like, "I'm really sorry. I think it was the tumor."
Right.
It's like once she knows it, he's got a brain tumor. Right. It explains away his behavior to some extent.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So you think true love wins?
Well, I think she's. Would you say that they're true? They're star-crossed lovers, aren't they?
Yeah, but I also think, life's going to be hard for her now.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and that's the thing.
That.
That's the thing that he was trying to protect her from.
She's fabulously wealthy. She's like on billboards and shit.
I don't think she's that wealthy. She lives in like
billboards.
She lives in an apartment which has got like bare plaster on the walls.
Yeah, but that's just because she's like trendy.
Right.
She's a bit like bohemian.
Yeah. Well, she's gonna be very wealthy when she marries John Jameson.
An astronaut
rolling in it.
Yeah. But somehow his dad still has to pay for the wedding, even though he's like an astronaut who's been playing football on the moon and stuff.
Well, who else would be paying for it?
Himself.
Yeah, but he had I don't think J. Jonah Jameson's hard up, is he?
Well, yeah, I suppose he's the editor of
the Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
there's the scene where Harry Osborn agrees to give Dr. Octopus what he wants if he'll bring him Spider-Man.
Yep.
And he says, the way you can find out where Spider-Man is go ask Peter Parker. And he goes, fine, I'll do that. Strolls off, and Harry Osborn says, don't hurt Peter.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What on earth was Dr. Octopus thinking? Throwing a car at Peter Parker without not knowing that he is Spider-Man.
Shoot first,
Which
ask questions later.
that would kill 100% of normal people. The only reason he survives, or Mary Jane survives, Harry Osborn's other best friend,
Yeah.
is that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and he
Yeah.
manages to throw himself out of the way of it. And with that, he would lose his only lead to finding Spider-Man,
Yeah, you're right.
and therefore he wouldn't get the tritium or whatever it is.
Trini and Susanna.
Yeah, it's incredibly poorly thought through.
I mean, in a sense, right? Dr. Octopus, if you were Dr. Octopus, you would just torture Harry Osborn, surely.
Yeah,
Just like hold him over the bridge. You'd say, like, I'm going to drop you if you don't tell me where it is.
yeah, I guess so.
And he's like, oh, go get Peter, tell me where Spider-Man is. I said, no, just
Give
I'll
it to me
kill
now,
you
or
if
you
don't."
are going to die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't know of any other way of getting hold of it, I suppose. It's possible.
Just threaten him. Harry
Knows
Osborn.
in like any other avenue that he could get it from. Maybe
But-
Harry Osborn knows that as well, so he knows his threats are going to ring.
I'll tell you
hollow.
what, if you start breaking his bones,
Yeah,
he'll sing like a canary about
Maybe,
that
yeah.
trinium.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I can't believe that he doesn't. Like, further to my other point, does he not see Peter Parker's incredible reactions and think, God, that was an incredible dodge,
Yeah.
considering I just threw a car at him
Yeah.
through that window?
Do you think it was an accident? Do you think like he was just like, you know how people
like he flings it away or
yeah,
something?
and it accidentally goes through.
It doesn't come across like an accident. He
No.
doesn't come through the window of the cafe and go, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, like, oh, so sorry. Would you mind? Do you know who Spider-Man is?
Yeah.
I'll peel the
Yeah.
skin from her bones.
Because if he throws that at him and he like leaps out of the way in that amazing spiraling dive that he does,
Yeah.
that should really clue Dr. Octopus in to the fact that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Should
Like,
do.
it's like if he saw Peter Parker, shoot a web out of his wrist.
Yeah.
he'd
Where's
go,
Spider-Man?
Yeah, exactly. So if someone exhibits all the characteristics of the person that you are ultimately looking for, then who is an unknown masked man, maybe it's one and the same.
My tip is for Spider-Man. Peter, that is.
Mm-hmm.
What's his big problem at the beginning?
Hasn't got a job.
Yeah, no
Loses
money.
his job?
No money.
No money.
You are the most famous person in New York. Just
Right.
do some endorsements. Get
As Spider-Man?
Hire an agent. Yeah.
Yeah, hire an agent. I can see that.
Mm.
Yeah,
They just got
what
Mary
would he
Jane's worth
endorse?
like fucking anything. Like
Sneakers or something.
he could pick his take his pick.
Yeah,
Sponsorship. Get some ads on the back of his suit.
yeah, that's true. Sort of feels like it would go against Peter Parker's, his outlook on life. Don't you think?
Well, his outlook on life is help people.
Yeah.
Does it really matter how he does it? If he's wearing like a New York Knicks jersey with a sponsor on it, does it matter?
I suppose not. No, it just seems like everything that Spider-Man stands for is that sort of purity, and that would just be sort of the polar opposite of it, wouldn't it?
Well, think about it right. If he found a really good campaign, let's say Nike,
Yeah.
he could do one campaign where he just says like, buy some trainers or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm Spider-Man and I say
Buy trainers.
buy trainers.
Yeah.
He could get like 50, 60 grand for one hit, just showing up for one day's work, because he's Spider-Man, because he's the most famous person in the world probably.
Yeah. I suppose. Yeah. I know what you're saying. It's just It's just whether or not you can imagine Peter Parker going, I need to get some ads in. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but like Peter Parker wants money. Peter Parker's big problem is like he hasn't got any money. His aunt hasn't got any money. So if he did an advert, he'd be like, oh well, no, fine. He
Right.
could do something he's passionate about. Maybe a charity. Like don't smoke in bed, because apparently everyone in New York does that and buildings get burned down.
Yeah, that is true.
Just anything like that. He could help the like police and fire service by hiring himself out as like a mascot. That'd be quite good.
Yeah. So do some like information films and get paid for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it might be a bit risky considering that the authorities specifically want to unmask him, don't they?
Only in the first film. I think they're pretty happy with him by now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
You wouldn't. Would you say?
What would you suggest he advertises?
Well, something that's fairly neutral, just like tofu.
Tofu.
Yeah.
Yeah, green vegetables.
Eat your greens, kids. Vitamins.
That's true.
Public safety.
Yeah.
Wear a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see
Doctors
that.
Without Borders.
Yeah, Spider-Man Without Borders.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things you could do.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. All right, you've won me over. Yeah. I'm looking forward to his advertising campaign for Green Giant Sweet Corn.
He advertises all sorts of shit. Like Spider-Man dies, he's on like toilet paper and deodorant and stuff.
You know he's not real.
What?
Right, well that was, of course, How to Survive Spider-Man 2. Thank you very much for listening. Next week, we continue superhero season, kicking off the new year. Two of the classics of the genre. One was Spider-Man 2. The other is, of course, we've mentioned it a few times, The Dark Knight.
TDK.
So we'll see you in a week's time in Gotham, meeting up with Bruce.
Yeah.
Alfred.
Yeah. What's the Joker's first name?
He doesn't have one. Does it? Yeah, very good. So thank you very much for listening. HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com is the email address if you'd like to get in touch. And @HowToSurvivePod is the Twitter handle if you'd like to get in touch on Twitter.
Sure, yeah. If you haven't rated and reviewed us on your podcatcher of choice, you can do. Just add 5 stars and a line about why you like it. Like, it's good because it's free, and they do it for like years and years. And like,
and all they asked of me was that I went onto iTunes and left a 5-star review to help us find more listeners.
That's all they ask.
It's nothing really, is it? It doesn't cost anything.
It doesn't cost a thing for you. Tell you what, work out what the electricity bill is for doing that action, and we'll cover it.
Don't say that.
We'll be like half a pence.
But we're gonna have to do that for upwards of 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you very much for listening. Next week it's The Dark Knight, and until then, is that right?
Go get him, tiger.